Yo, what is going on? This is Philip Jean-Marie, aka Max Cooper. I'm actually here at the Power Morphicon, and I wanted to show you my wonderful helmet. I also wanted to shout out everyone who watched Power Rangers Wild Force, and even the old fans and the new fans. Also want to let you guys know, shout out to Tiger Tales. It's an audio storytelling channel on YouTube. Make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. And also wanted to let you know, if you're going through some issues in life, remember 3 words: never give up. All right. So I hope everyone is doing well. Love you a lot. Peace.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, a place you'll find stories and fanfiction in the first person point of view, written and read to you by your host, me, Tiger. Today we're diving back into the Marvel and DC fanfiction universe, a place where I have very cleverly combined both Marvel and DC into one ongoing universe, and the collision of both universes actually happen in story. It's called Union Day. Now, a year later from Union Day is where all of these tales and stories begin. There are a good couple of stories here on this channel, but there's also a lot more stories in this universe on the Tiger Tales channel. So make sure you check out all these stories. They're all connecting, interwoven, and all sorts of stuff. So let's dive in with today's storyline. This is all about Miles Morales. Miles Morales could not handle the fact that he lost Peter Parker and a lot of the other superheroes that disappeared or died on Union Day. So Mr. Pocket, a very strange and clever man, gave Miles the job of exploring the new multiverse that got built from the 2 universes combining into one. So let's dive in. The Fragments of Guilt, Journey of Miles Morales. Chapter 3, Let the Blood Run Dry. So, quick recap. My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Spider-Man. After Union Day, Mr. Pocket gave me the quest of exploring the new multiverse that was made after the collision and fusion of the 2 universes. I had found a version of myself who became a new Captain America in his own universe, and I found someone wielding their reality stone. My issue was the Reverse Flash. He'd been wiping out the new multiverse, and he was a serious, gigantic pain in my ass. I woke up and got dressed. I was too bothered to eat anything and thought, why not just get on with the mission? So I suited up and made sure I had plenty of web fluid. I then loaded up the Universe Rift cartridge and jumped out the window, and with the 2 new residents in the motel, I hadn't really had much of an effort for conversation with them, but they did lose their entire universes, so I gave them some credit and left them there. I swung out of the motel and shot the web, and it flew into the air and opened a rift. And the rift exploded from nowhere. I then zipped through the rift and entered a brand new universe. I landed on a building and was taken aback by the view. I knelt down and took in the view. It was nighttime. The city, I think, was Metropolis, a new city to me. They were buildings, but they're all on fire, people screaming far off in the distance. This universe had gone sideways extremely fast. I shot a web and swung further into the city. Then I saw a group of individuals hassling a girl. I landed on the ground and approached them. "Hey there, guys, why don't you just leave this girl alone, yeah?" I muttered. The group all turned to me and saw me stood there. Then the small group turned their attention to me one by one. They all ran at me, and one of them threw a punch. I flipped over the individual and kicked them in the back. Then I turned to the others. They all surrounded me, and one by one they bared their teeth. Or shall I say, bared their fangs. "Wait, are you guys vampires?" I blurted in disbelief. One of the vampires swung their claws at me. I grabbed his wrist and pulled them off their feet, swinging them over my shoulder and slamming them into the ground. Another vampire jumped onto me and wrapped their legs around my torso and his arms around my neck. Then they sunk their teeth into my neck and punctured through my costume into my skin, and they started to suck my blood. My vision became very blurry extremely fast. The vampire let go of me and I dropped to the floor. My head was spinning and I felt extremely woozy. Then one of the vampires punched me in the head and knocked me out. I woke up and I looked around the room. I was in some form of apartment. The sun was shining bright and two individuals were beside me. The older one sat on a wooden chair, whilst the younger one leant against the wall. I suddenly realised I was not wearing my mask, and my web shooters had also been removed. I looked over at my captors and noted that they were not in the group of vampires that I ran into. I also recognised the jackets they were wearing. One of them was Red Hood. He was there on Union Day, but there were two of them. "Dad, he's awake," the one that was stood said. "I can see that," the older one snapped. I noted for the fact that they were father and son. "You intact, kid?" the old one asked. "I think so," I muttered. "Do you feel your own heartbeat?" he asked. My face scrambled up in confusion. I then made double sure I could feel my own heartbeat before I nodded at him. "He's not infected then," the younger one said. "Infected?" I questioned. "Those blood circles can turn others into them. All it takes is a bite," the older one stated. The younger one pulled a knife from his boot and cut my ties, letting me free, and I sat up and rubbed my wrists. "So you're a Spider-Man, huh?" the older one said. "Yeah, Miles." "My name's Miles," I muttered. "Jason Todd, and this is my son Jason Jr., but we just call him JJ," the older one said. "Red Hood, right?" I asked. "I haven't heard that name in about a year," Jason chuckled. "So if you're Red Hood, what does that make you?" I asked JJ. "Mom used to call me Little Red," JJ shrugged. "You have officially got nicknamed," I chuckled. "You aren't from around here, are you?" Jason asked me. I shook my head at him. "So, vampires, want to explain?" I asked, pointing to the sunlight behind me. "Been like that about a month after Union Day. Blade went on a bit of a rampage and started his own vampire nation. Us normal people had to try to survive until there's only a few of us left," Jason explained. "So you guys are like vampire hunters?" I questioned. "Yeah, more or less," JJ stated. He then pulled out two handheld pistols from his hip and they opened up into crossbows. "Whoa, nice!" I chirped. Then Jason pulled out a two-handed metal pole with a cross on one end and a big, thick wooden stick on the other. "I'll call it the bitch duster," Jason muttered. I grinned slightly. Then Jason stood up and walked over to the desk and chucked me my mask and my web shooters. "Don't make me regret that, okay?" Jason snarled. Yeah, I got it," I nodded. Then I strapped my web shooters to my wrist. "So, what are we doing here?" JJ asked. I muttered. I then took a deep breath and explained the whole story. Both of them looked at me like I was absolutely completely insane. "We saw him, Reverse Flash, a couple hours ago before we found you. He placed a strange-looking device down in the old movie center," Jason stated. "We have to find that device, or else your universe will be eradicated," I snapped. "It'll be dark soon. This is going to be very dangerous," Jason stated as he stood up. "I think I can handle myself." I nodded. Jason and JJ walked me through how to handle these vampires. Then as the sun started setting, we left the apartment and we got to the ground floor. They both mounted motorcycles and their engines roared to life. Then they started zooming down the street and I ran and jumped up into the air and shot my web swinging after them. Eventually they stopped and parked their motorbikes and I landed next to them outside the theatre. "In there," Jason said. "Okay, so we fight off the vampires and find the machine. Sounds easy," I said sarcastically. Then both Jason and JJ put their Red Hood helmets on, both becoming the Red Hood and Little Red. Then we looked over and saw the sun completely disappearing. Then a piercing screech echoed and the top of the movie theatre became littered with vampires. Their skin was a slight white shade of colour, their eyes were red, their fangs were sharp and bared. Red Hood pulled out the bitch duster, and the Little Red pulled out his two handheld pistol crossbows. Then the vampires jumped down and started running at us. Little Red fired both his crossbows, the bolts hit the vampires and they exploded to dust. Red Hood swung the bitch duster and tripped one over before ramming the stake into its chest, the vampire exploding into dust as well. I jumped up, flipped over a vampire. As I landed, I shot a web at a brick and flung it at a vampire, knocking it in the head. As it toppled to the ground, I shot several webs, sticking it to the floor. We dealt with the vampires as quick as we could. Then the ground rumbled and a beam of light hit the sky, erupting from the theatre. "That's the machine!" I barked. I ran towards the theatre, but Red Hood grabbed me and pulled me away. "I have to stop it!" I snapped, trying to fight myself out of his grip. "Dude, you said you saved people before, right?" Red Hood asked. "Yes, so?" I replied. "Save us. Forget this place," Little Red told me. But I can't. The Reverse Flash cannot get away with all of this, I snapped at them. This universe is not worth saving, man. Look around. It's me and JJ. There is no one else. Everyone's gone, everyone's dead, or a fucking bloodsucker. Let it go, Miles, Red Hood barked. We can help you. We are skilled, we can handle our own. Let us lend you our skills, and in return, let us sleep without keeping our one eye open every night, Little Red said sadly. I looked around. The vampires, the destruction. I understood where they were coming from. I loaded the universal cartridge into my web shooter, and I aimed my wrist and shot the rainbow web. The web struck the air and opened the rift. I gestured the two of them to follow me, and all three of us jumped through it, and we landed in front of the motel in my universe. Home sweet home, I muttered. Then I showed the two of them around, and they got a room each, and I headed to my room. I stripped out of my outfit and climbed into bed and fell asleep, trying to forget about the conversation I just had with Red Hood and Little Red in their universe. I woke up to the array of strange noises. I looked outside and saw American Spider fully suited, with Red Hood and Little Red also fully suited, all using their weapons, fighting strange grey foot soldiers, which were falling out of the big portal in the sky. I quickly got suited up and jumped out the window, shooting a web, and I swung over to the trio. Looks like you guys met, huh? I noted. Yeah, they seem pretty cool, the American Spider said with a chuckle. What are these things? Little Red barked. Dunno, but right now, let's just get these things away from our house, I ordered. I shot a web and pulled one of the grey goons close and threw my hardest punch. The grey goon was thrown backwards, it landed on the ground and exploded into lumps of clay. We all stood in front of the small army before us. Then we prepared ourselves for a massive invasion. This story leads up to a crossover called The Invasion of the Putties. The Invasion of the Putties has already been and gone though. You can check it out on Tiger Tales in all of its parts. But I needed to explain what these characters are going through during the Putty Invasion. So the next time you'll see these characters is in their version of the Putty Invasion. So look out for that as well. Don't forget to check out the rest of the Marvel and DC fanfics universe. It does have its own playlist here on the channel where all the storylines are there. Plus there's more of the universe in different stories on Tiger Tales. So make sure you check it out. Thank you everybody for listening to this video and checking out the stories. Of course, there are plenty more where that came from. I encourage you to check out the rest of this channel where you'll find more storylines for you to delve into. But there's even more than that. If you check out the description down below, you will find a whole array of different Tiger Tales channels. Each Tiger Tales channel is made for a specific purpose and hosts a whole array of different types of storylines. So I encourage you to check out the other Tiger Tales channels and delve into a massive amount of storytelling by myself and the Tiger Tales partners. If you have enjoyed yourself today, then please subscribe to the channel as it does show your support. Now, of course, the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I'm passionate about story writing and storytelling. And, of course, you should dive into what you are passionate about as well. So, I shall end this video with Roll with Passion.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.
Bye!